Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news show, manager news show. Ruben Amorim was sacked. I'm sure you know that unless you've literally been living under a rock. He was sacked at 10 a.m. this morning. Now, obviously, I did a video that came out about 11:30, midnight last night, where I said there's rumours of Ruben Amorim being sacked tomorrow morning. There's apparently a meeting. I think Ruben Amorim's going to be sacked. Then, less than 12 hours later that morning, we get that David Ornstein bomber. Ruben Amorim is sacked. Darren Fletcher is interim. Darren Fletcher is set to be interim for the next 2 games, but Manchester United are working on bringing someone in. Reports are suggesting that Manchester United want someone in the summer. They're going to, maybe who they want is only available in the summer. So Darren Fletcher could remain interim to the end of the season, but Manchester United's top candidate to come in as interim to the end of the season has been revealed. We're going to talk about who that is. Apparently United have got sort of 2 names on their shortlist. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's made it clear he would be happy to come back to Manchester United. We're going to talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Michael Carrick, Enzo Maresca, De Zerbi, McKenna, Xavi, and more. We're going to talk about the latest on who the next manager is set to be. But lots of interesting reports are coming out about the fallout behind the scenes. Apparently, they already made the decision to sack Ruben Amorim before the Leeds game after a fallout on Friday. Or was it because of his comments after the Leeds game? Probably a bit of both. It has been revealed that Ruben Amorim was sacked because of his comments, which is shocking. He should have been sacked because of his performances after Grimsby, after Everton, after the Europa League final. You let him absolutely put in some awful performances. Didn't even think about sacking him. Minute he calls you out, you sack him. INEOS exposed there. INEOS a disgrace. But Ruben Amorim was seen joking and laughing with his best mates. Ruben Amorim brought in his best mates. They've all been sat with him. His best mates, his coaching staff. They were all laughing and joking. They were all having a great time. They just told they were sacked and they were laughing and joking. When Ollie was told he was sacked, he started crying. He started doing an interview. Ruben Amorim didn't give an F about this club. Ruben Amorim did not give an F about this club. And I'm going to say that now. You know, look, let's not bring back Ollie. But Ollie, when he got sacked, was in tears. He'd done an interview. Ruben Amorim was seen laughing, joking, looking the happiest he's been. Ruben Amorim probably said what he did in the press conference on purpose to get sacked. Ruben Amorim did not care about this club. And you can't convince me he did. He cared about making himself look good. He cared about his ego. Ruben Amorim was here for 1 year and 2 months. 1 year and 2 months where his system was not working. And whenever he was told to change his system, he wouldn't. He would do the same thing over and over again that didn't work. He trialled a back four for 2 games and we looked so much better, but he didn't want to go back to it because he didn't want to be proven wrong about his system. He wanted to try and prove everyone wrong that his system could work. Ruben Amorim ignored Kobbie Mainoo, even when he had good cameos, because he wanted to be proven right. Ruben Amorim, for me, cared more about his ego and being proven right and how he looks than Man United. Because I've never seen a man so happy to be sacked. Now look, Ruben Amorim's the real winner because he gets a big 10 million payout. No wonder he's happy. Fair play. You are the real winner, Ruben Amorim. But I'm not convinced he cared about United. I think he's threatened to walk so many times. And I think to manage Man United, you've got to care. And I don't think Ruben Amorim cared. I don't think Ruben Amorim was the biggest problem. I think those above Ruben Amorim are a disgrace. And I think Ruben Amorim will take the fall for incompetency of those above him. The people above Ruben Amorim are a way bigger problem than Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim has us in 6th. We're not playing great football. I think we could be doing better. But the people above Ruben Amorim are a disgrace. Wilcox didn't want Amorim now. Ashworth got sacked for not wanting Amorim. You brought him in knowing he plays a 3-4-3. Didn't bother buying any wing-backs. Didn't bother buying a midfielder, which we desperately need. So while Amorim, I think, is not getting the best out of our players, and ultimately he's sacked because his performances are crap, he ignored the youth, his comments about the youth, it's anti-football, it's anti-attacking, it's anti-United, he's not getting the best out of the squad, and he was rightly sacked. The results were embarrassing. The people above Amorim are the biggest problem. The people above Amorim are the biggest failures. They are the biggest issue with this club. They are the biggest issue. The higher-ups are a disgrace. I worry for the next manager. People are saying, Alice, you wanted Ruben Amorim. Why aren't you happy? You wanted Ruben Amorim out. Why aren't you happy? People are saying, oh, I bet you're celebrating, Alice. You wanted Ruben Amorim out. I'm not happy Ruben Amorim was sacked. It's the right decision he was sacked. He should have been sacked months ago. But I'm not celebrating it. I'm not celebrating Ruben Amorim being sacked despite wanting him sacked. Because I worry for the next manager. I worry who they're going to appoint. I worry if they're going to back him. I worry if he's going to be thrown under the bus. I don't trust the people above Ruben Amorim. What makes me more mad about Ruben Amorim being sacked is the fact that he should have been sacked months ago for his performances. He wasn't. He calls out the higher-ups. Everyone starts turning on the higher-ups. There's some pressure on the higher-ups, so they sack him. He was sacked because he called them out. Do you know what I mean? He was sacked because he called them out. He deserved the sack, but INEOS shouldn't have employed him. At the end of the day, INEOS are the ones who, Jason Wilcox said, I don't think we should bring him in. Dan Ashworth said, I don't think we should bring him in. They brought him in. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's all being exposed. He was sacked due to the execs. If it was performance, he would have gone after Grimsby. Exactly. Because the execs are like Amorim. It's all about themselves, all about making themselves look good. It's crazy. But look, let's get into it. Because look, Amorim should have gone. But I'm not celebrating Amorim going. I wanted Amorim to succeed. I think it's a sad day that Amorim. It's not a sad day that Amorim's been sacked. He should have been sacked months ago. But I think it's sad when a manager goes. I do. I think it's sad when a manager goes. I think it's sad when a manager's sacked because it's another one to add to the cycle. And, I think those above the manager need to change. Now, let's talk about, obviously, everything that has gone down because I want to just brief a few of the news articles that come out, and then I want to talk about INEOS' main contenders to replace Ruben Amorim with. So, obviously, if you've been following my channel and tuned into the last couple of live streams at night, sad, he's getting 12 million, he's won the lottery, he's getting 10 million. No one, to be honest, look, Ollie cried. This guy was since smiling and happy. To be fair, if you're getting 10 million, you're probably smiling and happy. But, it just shows the difference, I think. Amorim was acting erratic for ages and the results in play simply not good enough. Thomas Frank is doing bad at Spurs. I thought Thomas Frank would be a success at Spurs, but I was wrong on that. But let's have a look. Let's get into the news. Let's get into who they want to replace Amorim with. Okay. Manchester United made the decision to sack Ruben Amorim before the game against Leeds after a blurb in a meeting on Friday with Jason Wilcox. Wilcox had intended the meeting to be a positive look at the evolution of the team, but when the system was raised, Amorim's go-to 3-4-3 formation, the Portuguese coach blew up according to sources. I read that fast, I know. What that means is Jason Wilcox basically told him, scrap the 3-4-3, move to a 4-3-3. And that's probably where his erratic head coach comments came yesterday. Basically, if you're head coach, you get told, play this way with these players. If you're manager, you play your way and you get power and bring in the players that you want to play your way. So when he talks about being a manager, not a head coach, it's because Wilcox told him to change to a back four. Wilcox had mentioned change to a back four months ago, but I think it's been forced upon him because he finally did change to a back four. We looked better. He went back to a back five versus Wolves. I think the biggest mistake Amorim made, you could argue, was going to a back four versus Bournemouth and in the first half versus Newcastle because everyone saw was so much better in a back four. But then he went back to a back five and everyone was like, why is he going back to a back five when we just saw was so much better in a back four? I almost think he done himself there because now we saw a back four, we realised we actually are better in it. And then he wouldn't go back to it. And then Jason Wilcox probably put more pressure on him to go to it. Ratcliffe was furious with Ruben Amorim's comments of the club hierarchy after the Leeds game and personally made the decision to sack the boss. F off Jim Ratcliffe, that's not your decision to make. You shouldn't be involved in footballing decisions. That should be the decisions of the footballing people you brought in. Jim Ratcliffe has too much influence. Him and Barada pushed for Amorim when Ashworth and Wilcox said no. He was back, he's saying, I'm going to give Amorim 3 years, so we never look to review Amorim's performances. The minute Amorim calls out his hierarchy, he wants Amorim gone. Jim Ratcliffe's a hypocrite. So, let's talk about the new manager, because it looks like INEOS have already decided their number one candidate to bring in as interim. Thank you very much for the super chat. Improved from 15th to 6th, he cares about the team, but his circumstances are impossible. I get why people look at it that way, but the thing is what people don't realise is there's about 2 points between 15th and 6th this season. We're in 6th with 31 points, yeah? Crystal Palace in 14th are on 27 points. There's 4 points between us and 14th. We're 2 losses away from being in 14th. Had Amorim lost to Burnley and then lost to Man City, we could be in 14th. Ruben Amorim is lucky that we're 6th when we won 1 game in 5. He's lucky that we're 6th with 1 win in 5 because Chelsea keep dropping points. The fact that Brentford, I'm just going to say this now, everyone's saying Ruben Amorim is 6th, he was 15th last season, look at the progress with the same amount of points as Chelsea. We've got 1 more point than Brentford. Brentford lost Thomas Frank, Visser and Mbumo. Everyone thought Brentford were going to get relegated. They got 1 less point than us. So the way I see it is, we all thought Brentford were going to get relegated. Thomas Frank, Visser and Mbumo, their 2 top scorers, they've got 1 point less than us. Because the Premier League is appalling this season. We have improved. We're scoring more goals. We've got more attackers in. Ruben Amorim has shown signs of progress this season, But was the performances from Ruben Amorim good enough? No, it wasn't good enough. And I think he was rightly sacked, but I understand why people think that. I think that his circumstances were hard. I think had the club, and I think you're right in the sense, I think had the club given Ruben Amorim some wing-backs and a midfielder, and actually really backed him and brought in the players to play his way, particularly wing-backs and a midfielder, then I think potentially we could be higher up. Because for Ruben Amorim's system, potentially, had we brought in the players he wanted, could work. But we didn't see enough evidence of it working. He's gone from 15th to 6th. There's progress this season, but we're 2 losses away from 14th. We're 1 point ahead of Brentford that lost their manager, Visser and Bumo. I think a lot of the reason we're 6th isn't just because of Amorim, it's because of the circumstances. But yeah, Amorim hasn't been given a midfielder. Amorim hasn't been given wing-backs. I'm not celebrating Amorim being sacked, even though I think he should have been sacked, because at the end of the day, the bigger problem is those above him. And I think the next manager could fail, and the next manager could be even worse than Ruben Amorim, because I do not trust the people above Ruben Amorim to bring in the right manager and also back that manager. And it's time to talk about appointing your managers. If you hire a manager of one system and that one system doesn't suit the current team and you don't invest in a new team that suits it, you get what you should have expected is how I see it. I think that's a really good chat message. I think it's spot on. If you hire a manager with one system and he's very set on that system, he doesn't want to change that system, and you don't bring in wing-backs, we've only got players that are wingers or can play in a back four, you don't have a specialist midfielder that he needs, you're absolutely spot on. And that's a failure on INEOS. That is a failure on INEOS, to be honest. Look, I think it was a good decision from the United board, but they only did it because he called them out. And that's pretty worrying. But let's talk about interim. There hasn't been much on Xavi. Look, I'd like Unai Emery. That is the dream, but I don't think it's realistic. Maybe in the summer, we'll see. We are Man United. But yes, let's talk about it because we're 12 minutes in and we haven't got into the main point. The club are aiming to appoint a new caretaker manager in time for the next week's derby. So Darren Fletcher is going to manage the Burnley game, but apparently the plan is to bring someone in to manage us between now and the end of the season until we get the permanent manager we want in. Now, Manchester United will look for a new manager. Conversations are expected to accelerate soon. Internal meetings and interviews are expected to start very soon to decide the new manager for now or the summer. Interesting. But this is where it gets interesting. Pardon me. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be more than open to returning to Manchester United's caretaker manager. He'd be happy to help United. Ole's just letting them know, I'm here. I'm here. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be interested in Man United return as caretaker head coach. I don't want Ole back. Do you know why Ole came second? Because of McKenna. Ole came second because of McKenna. Okay? Now, obviously, Ole had some credit. You give Ole some credit. But McKenna did the coaching. McKenna did all the coaching. INEOS want to coach. Ole doesn't coach. He managed. So, there we are with Ole. Ole's talent ID was okay, I thought. He wanted Declan Rice. He didn't get Declan Rice. Imagine if we'd have got Ole Declan Rice, eh? Imagine. That'd be nice. But look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would be interested, blah, blah, blah. Of course Ole wants it. I wouldn't give it to Ole. Now, what is INEOS' top contender? Michael Carrick, according to reports, is INEOS' top contender to replace Fletcher with till the end of the season. Michael Carrick is who they want to replace Fletcher with until the end of the season. Michael Carrick is among top contenders to be interim Man United head coach until the end of the season. Carrick is currently a front runner and United expect to make an approach in the coming days. Reports are coming out that Carrick is now the favourite to come into the end of the season, which kind of makes sense. I kind of would predict this. If they're not going to bring in someone now, I could see it being Carrick. Obviously, he took over when Ole was sacked. He's got experience in Middlesbrough. He knows the club. He's a midfielder. Maybe he knows how to sort the midfield. There's a good player there. But yeah, everyone, haha, Ole. I think Ole's like, please take me. Ole's just begging it. But I think Carrick, if we're bringing in someone as an interim, I think it would be Carrick or Rude. To be honest. Has the club not moved on from ex-legends? But I think as an interim, they probably see it as a smart option and all that as well. Mick McCarthy, absolutely not. Jason Wilcox would want a yes man. Would Carrick be a yes man? Some people say Lampard, no thank you. I think Carrick and Rude is who they're looking at as potentially, who could we bring in? And I think there's a little bit of a falling out with Rude. So I think Carrick makes sense. But Carrick is reportedly the front runner to replace Fletcher if United can't bring in who they want to bring in long term. Carrick isn't who Man United want to bring in long term, but Man United want to bring in someone for the short term, if they can't get in who they want long term now, and Carrick would be that guy. If Man United felt they could go Unai Emery tomorrow, I think Man United would go for Unai Emery tomorrow. But I think United are going for Carrick because who they want might not be available to the summer, which hits at Glasner. I don't want Glasner because Glasner, when he dominates possession, doesn't do very well. Glasner, when he has less possession, does well. Lots of similarities to Amorim. I don't want Glasner. I don't want Maresca. I don't think they're the guys. Maresca plays a slow build-up that doesn't suit us. Glasner only wins when he doesn't dominate possession, which doesn't suit us. I don't think Glasner would do as well at Man United. No more free at the back systems, I agree. But the problem is we don't have wingers. I really now get why we went for Semenyo. I think they went for Semenyo knowing we might sack Amorim and get a 4-3-3 in. Because Semenyo left winger, we don't have a left winger. Unless we bring Rashford back, we don't have a left winger. Rude wide, a couple of games that were okay against bad teams would be a massive risk for the rest of the season. Ollie's way better, Carrick as well. I think Carrick would be my pick as interim. It looks like Carrick is front runner. I will say we're not going for Southgate. There will be rumours and reports coming out that Man United are going for Southgate. There will be reports coming out that Man United are in for Southgate. That just happens because we've been linked to him in the past. The media needs something to write. That will get clicks because it will scare people. United aren't interested in Southgate. We're not going for Southgate. Don't fall for that crap. Rashford could be back. But do you know what I think is good about Amorim being sacked? Is Barcelona keeps saying they've got no money, they can't afford Rashford. Yeah, but Barcelona knew we were desperate to get rid of Rashford because he fell out with Amorim. I think now that we've got a new manager, we'll say to Barcelona, okay, if you don't want to give us 26 million for Rashford, we'll take him back. I think Barcelona, look, they don't have loads of money, but 26 million is a steal for Rashford. 26 million for a player of Rashford's quality is a steal. And while Barcelona aren't in the best financial situation, they will be looking at that and thinking, Barcelona we're going to play the we can't afford Rashford card in the summer for 26 million to see if they could get him for 20, 15 million. But I think now Amorim's been sacked, Barcelona don't have that power because we could just say, well, we want Rashford back, cool, fine. And then Barcelona, we'll pay up. So that'll be interesting. I don't think Rashford will come back. I think Rashford mentally checked out of United. Well, we ain't bringing Garnacho. The best thing Amorim did was sell Garnacho, and we should have got at least 15 million more for him. I tell you what, if you were to name the best thing Amorim did, it wouldn't be anything we'd done on the pitch. It wouldn't be one thing we'd done on the pitch. It wouldn't. You could say maybe the Lyon comeback was good, but the Lyon comeback would have been good if we won the Europa League. And if we won the Europa League, Amorim has something that he's done. If you were to ask me what the best thing Amorim's done, it's probably getting rid of Garnacho. Do you know what I mean? It's probably getting rid of Garnacho. Every Man United fan would be like, what's the best thing Amorim's done? Well, he got rid of Garnacho. You wouldn't say, oh, he did this football was really nice, or this was really nice. It was like, he got rid of Garnacho. Garnacho liked, within about 10 minutes of Amorim being sacked, Garnacho liked those posts, Garnacho liked those posts within about 10 minutes of Amorim being sacked, which, to be fair enough. Cobby liked a post that was, it was like a meme, like Amorim and his best mates partying after being sacked and getting a big payout. But Garnacho was liking the Amorim post being sacked within 10 minutes. But what are the other plans? Who could be the long-term options? The significant support of Manchester United for Roberto De Zerbi. Manchester United are highly unlikely to show interest in Enzo Maresca. Maresca's head is set on City. So I don't think we'll get Maresca. I think we're going for Glasner in the summer. I don't want Glasner. I think Iriola's stocks have gone down because Bournemouth are struggling. Iriola struggles when he's expected to dominate possession. Glasner struggles when he's expected to dominate possession. Let's not go for Glasner. Let's not go for Iriola. Marco Silva's a better manager than Glasner and Iriola if we were looking particularly at what maybe United squad had. I think De Zerbi's a decent manager, but who knows? I don't think he could work with this leadership. De Zerbi would call this leadership out. They will not want him. He's not a yes man. Maresca won't happen. I don't want another manager from the Portuguese league. I don't want any of these guys. I do not want any of these guys. Oliver Glasner's use of the back three is a concern for some at United. Glasner was very interested in the Man United head coach role. Glasner would leave Palace for Man United. His contract is out in the summer. I think Man United can get him for free. I think we're going to get Glasner in the summer because he's free and he wants the job. And it's easy. And he'd be a yes man. I don't want Glasner. I have concerns about him. I know he can adapt to a back four, but he's just not good in possession. These guys stink. But yeah, that was sort of what's been said on the manager front. I think it's Carrick interim to the end of the season. Then I think they go for Glasner, if I was going to be honest. Interesting comment from Diego here. Could some of your players who are on loan now be looking to return? Rashford won't, because he's doing well at Barca and we do probably want him gone. Anana won't. Only Harry Amas. Harry Amas could be recalled from loan, but not to come back to Man United, to send him to a better club because Sheffield Wednesday is shocking and he's proven he's too good for that club. So maybe Harry Amas because he's proven he's too good for the club. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I just missed this. Don't we have a buyback clause? Bring back Palistri, the lad puts in crosses. I mean, you can put in a cross, but he's not a great player. You know, Palistri, I liked him, but he's not exactly getting many goals in the Greek league. Do you know what I mean? You know, he was selfless, but he's played one game this season in the Greek league out of a possible 14. He has had a calf injury, though. He's not playing loads. And to be honest, considering he's a Man United player, when he goes to the Greek league, you think he's going to smash it. Palistri got 4 goals in 36 games last season in the Greek league. He was playing in the Greek league and the Conference League, and he got 1 goal in the actual Greek Super League in 20 games. So I don't really want to go for Palistri, to be honest, but he can put it across. I mean, Palistri might have been a better wing back than Dallo and Dorgu, you know. But I don't think Palistri was ever going to be good enough. I think, you know, that's why he's in the Greek league and not in La Liga. We need a back 4 manager, I agree. Possession overrated, yeah, but we need to be able to win games when we dominate possession, which we don't do. We need a manager that's able to do that. But Harry Amas is probably most likely to return, but I think he'd be sent out on loan again. Next gaffer needs to be more open to youth, 100%. Can we get Rasmus back? If Rasmus comes back, he would be just as bad as Sesko. Sesko isn't worse than Rasmus. Rasmus would have been this crap if he stayed. I'll tell you that now. It's the environment. Do you think he'll play his sons versus Burnley? I actually think there's less chance of the Fletcher brothers getting minutes now that their dad is the manager. Because if the dad plays, then the dad will get criticism, like, of course, he's playing his sons. I think they've got less chance of playing now their dad is manager, to be totally honest with you. So yeah, let's talk about other news. Let's talk about other stories. According to Rob Dorset of Sky, Ruben Amorim felt he was being micromanaged by his Manchester United bosses, including Jason Wilcox, and that he didn't have full freedom to make his own tactical decisions. I think Ruben Amorim wanted... This is, you know, I think this was very true. We know this. Ruben Amorim's "I'm a manager, not a head coach" comments was weird because when we appointed Ruben Amorim, the day we appointed him a year and 3 months ago, we said he was a head coach, not a manager when we appointed him. Ruben Amorim wanted to play his way. He didn't want to adapt. He didn't want to change from his way. He did change from his way for 2 games. We saw a back 4 and we looked a lot better for it. He then went back to a back 5. We dropped points to the worst Wolves team in history of the Premier League. And he was then had pressure on him by Wilcox. Why have you gone back to a back 5 when, you know, you've now not beaten Wolves, when with a back 4, look what you did in the first half versus Newcastle. Look what you did in the first half versus Bournemouth. Look what you did versus Villa. Why have you gone back to a back 5? Ruben Amorim said, well, I'm going to play my 3-4-3. I'm going to play my 3-4-3. And Jason Wilcox says, no, we want you to do this. And he's probably had an outburst that Jason Wilcox has told him to go and do this, stop doing that. And he's thinking, why am I here if I'm not getting January signings? If I'm being told what tactics to make, I'm the manager. And INEOS are like, well, you're not the manager, you're their coach. You don't have that much power. And he's what up? And he's probably like, whoa. Had an outburst, gone and probably done what he's done in the press conference on purpose. Got himself sacked. Him and the staff are all laughing and joking because they probably knew they were going to get sacked. And they get a big payout. You know, that's what it is, really. It's mad to think that the Maresca situation is very similar to the Amorim situation because Maresca had pressure on him, but Maresca also fell out with the hierarchy because he wanted more power. What is it about these big clubs wanting yes men? What is it about these big clubs not wanting to give managers powers these days and wanting yes men? You know, I agree. They knew he was a 3-4-3 manager when they hired him, so why did they hire him? Do you know what I mean? It's like if you're a vegan and you order meat, and then you get meat and you say, I don't want meat. Well, you ordered meat. Do you know what I mean? You had big conversations about him being a 3-4-3 manager. You didn't bring in wing backs. You didn't bring in a midfielder. And then you want him to go back to a back 4 because it suits the players that you have. Well, maybe you should have brought him the players that suited his system more. So we didn't need to. Do you know what I mean? Like, Amorim should have gone. But the people who were the biggest failure wasn't Ruben Amorim, it's people above him that brought him in knowing he's a 3-4-3 manager, and then trying to tell him to do something else because this 3-4-3 wasn't working. Well, maybe you should have gotten the players for 3-4-3. This club's bleeding for experience, really need Ruben Neves, Gallagher and wing-backs. We don't need wing-backs now, we're going back to about 4. But Ruben Neves could do a job. Ruben Neves' experience could do a job. Why did they hire Ashworth all that time and money just to abruptly get rid and also very haphazard? Do you know what? To bring Dan Ashworth in, we had to wait out 6 months of his gardening leave, pay $3 million to get him released, and give him about a $3 million payout. We had to wait nearly a year to get Ashworth. We lost about $6 million in the process, and he was in the job for about 5 months. And he literally got sacked because he did not agree with bringing Ruben Amorim in. He did not agree with bringing Ruben Amorim in. He said, I don't think we should bring him in, and he got sacked for it. Dan Ashworth is sitting there thinking, I worked at Man United for 5 months. I got £3 million when I left. And I got sacked because I told them not to bring in Dan Ashworth, and he's laughing at them now. INEOS' egos are the biggest issue. INEOS' egos are the biggest issue. Dan Ashworth done a fantastic job at Newcastle. Dan Ashworth done a fantastic job at Brighton. And Dan Ashworth did a fantastic job at West Brom. Dan Ashworth, what should have been one of the best appointments Man United made in years. I think had Manchester United, INEOS, not let their egos get in the way and had listened to Dan Ashworth, we might be in a Champions League place right now. And we might have, won the Europa League. I think things could have been very different. But the problem is, you've got Wilcox, Barada and Ashworth that all want to make the decisions. That's 3 people. 3's a crowd. There was clashes. And Jim Ratcliffe had to choose whether he wants to back Barada or Ashworth. Barada and Ashworth had big disagreements. Barada was forcing the Amorim move. Ashworth was like, I don't like this. I'm sporting director. I don't think we should get Amorim. I think we're rushing it. Jim Ratcliffe sided with Barada. Ashworth got sacked. INEOS' egos. And they knew that they had to make Amorim work because they sacked Ashworth over this whole thing. And everyone's criticising for sacking Ashworth because it's like you waited nearly a year for him to come, you paid all this money, and you've sacked him within 5 months when he hasn't done anything. Had you just let Ashworth do his thing and not thought that you knew better than a guy that had more experience than all of you, yes, Barada's experience, but Barada doesn't have the same kind of experience as Ashworth. A lot of Barada's experience come from the off-the-field stuff, whereas Ashworth actually has experience on-the-field stuff. Tixie Bergenstein used to go to Barada with the footballing decisions. Barada used to do the non-footballing decisions at City. So when it comes to footballing decisions, nobody was more experienced than Dan Ashworth. But Jim Ratcliffe believed he knew better. Omar Barada believed he knew better. And Ashworth was sat for it. Ashworth was sat for it. And he'll be sitting there laughing. He'll be sitting there absolutely laughing. And yeah, it's an embarrassment from Wilcox. It's an embarrassment from Barada, INEOS, the Glazers. Because Ruben Amorim should have been sacked. But the people above Ruben Amorim are the biggest problem. You look at the Nice managers. Exactly. It's a joke. INEOS are the biggest joke. People will celebrate Ruben Amorim being sacked, and I think it was the right decision. But I can't celebrate until that INEOS is gone. Until this ownership is gone. Google organisations welcome different perspectives and opinions. INEOS seem to just do the opposite. Exactly. It's all about ego. It's all about ego. He should have been sacked after Grimsby. He probably should have been sacked after the Europa League final, but we were right to give him a summer. But yeah, apparently, this is interesting. I want to talk about some of this stuff going on behind the scenes because it's clear he didn't have a good relationship with Maino. Wallplay sources say Kobbie Mainoo and Ruben Amorim had a shouting match at Carrington towards the end of last season. That was said, but that's the aggregated version. Apparently, he didn't have a shouting match with Mainoo. He had a shouting match with Mainoo's family. Now, obviously, Mainoo is now back from injury, and some people think it's sus because it's like, well, Mainoo's coming back from injury as soon as Amorim leaves. But I know from a good source that Mainoo actually did have a calf injury. There's nothing more to it. Mainoo was actually injured. It's not because of the free Mainoo t-shirt, by the way. He was actually injured. I think is it a disgrace? I don't think it's a disgrace, to be fair, because they're the real winners. At the end of the day, the board messed up. Amorim was crap. The board now have to give Amorim 10 million. Amorim gets to go on holiday. Amorim is the real winner. He came here. He tried to gaslight the fan base. Was crap. But he got to be here with all his best mates and win and leave with about 10 million quid. the board are the losers. Amorim is the winner here. That's the situation. I mean, look, staff at Carrington were surprised to see Ruben Amorim and his coaching staff leaving the training ground laughing and joking. They were probably all happy they'd been sacked. Oh, we can go back to Portugal. It's warmer there. It's nicer there. We've got our money. Ha 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 ha. You know? Yeah. Remember 2 years ago we were talking about Qatar and INEOS. And I said, look, I'm not the biggest fan of a Qatari takeover, but I said I'd take them over INEOS because INEOS means the Glazers stay. You know? I'm aware of sports washing. I'm aware of, the club becoming more soulless if we get Qatar. But I said, INEOS come in and the Glazers stay, or Qatar come in and the Glazers go. I'm picking Qatar. And look, I'm aware it's sports washing. I'm aware of that. But I'm thinking, what's better for Man United, Qatar or INEOS? Qatar. Kobbie Mainoo is closing in on a return. Bruno Fernandes is pushing to play versus Burnley. Bruno Fernandes should not play versus Burnley. Bruno Fernandes is just a madman that hates being injured, that can't handle being injured, and is begging to play versus Burnley. Bruno Fernandes should be out for another 2 weeks with the injury he has, and he's already fighting to play. But that's just Bruno for you. That's just Bruno for you. Qatar would help clear the debt and splurge money for players. Exactly. I'm just going through the chat. I want a manager that can perform without needing new signings. Look, Unai Emery's the best guy out there. You can't get him till the summer. We might not even be able to get him. Would he leave Villa for us? We don't know. I do like McKenna as an option to come in now, just because I think he suits the players we have, which I know is unpopular. Alice, we'll get to see Kobbie Mainoo in a midfield 3, and we'll get to see Bruno playing as a 10. Happy days. Yes, but then we don't have a left winger, and we've got a lot of central players on the wings. I'm just having a look. Oliver Glasner apparently is the favourite, but I think it's lazy journalism. I think this Oliver Glasner's the favourite is a little bit of lazy journalism, because they're thinking Amorim's been sacked, we've been linked to Glasner, his contract's running out, blah, blah, blah. It has been confirmed that Ruben Amorim walked away with a 10 million payoff today. Look at that. Let's share that. No wonder he was... no wonder today was the happiest I have seen Amorim in about a year. I've seen Amorim in about a year. I mean, literally, no wonder today is... you can't blame him. I could say, look, he doesn't care. Ollie was in tears. Ollie was literally in tears. So no wonder today was happy to have seen Amorim in about a year. 10 million quid, he's the real winner. Him and INEOS both fail, but he is the real winner. He is the real winner. He looked very happy, Amorim, today, for a guy that'd been sacked. And you know what? Can you blame him? Can you blame him? I'd be smiling. If someone said to me, you've got 10 million quid, I'd probably be the happiest I've been in years as well. Should we see if any more news stories have come out? Because there's a lot coming out. Maresca's on United's list, but apparently we don't like him. But then other sources say we do like him. Do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. The journalists know nothing, but they know that they can get clicks by pretending they know something. So any man that's been linked to Man United or thrown around Man United in the past has been linked. Xavi's been linked. Kieran McKenna's been linked. Maresca's been linked. Iriola's been linked. De Zerbi's been linked. Marco Silva's been linked. Glasner's been linked. Southgate's been linked. Carrick's been linked. Ollie's been linked. Sedan's been linked. That's not happening. Do you know what it is? What we know is we're probably going to bring in an interim, and that could be Carrick. Looks like top contender according to reports, but we don't know that for sure. Ollie wants the job. Don't think we'll go that for him. Emre would be great. Don't think that's going to happen. I think that nobody actually knows who we're going for, so they keep writing a report that we're looking at Glasner and Iriola as lazy journalism because we've been linked to them. I don't think anyone really knows right now. There's reports that the top candidate is Carrick, which makes sense on an interim basis. But I think as a permanent manager, nobody knows who the long-term solution is. I think Carrick could be the short-term solution. Apparently, he's the front runner. But nobody knows the long-term solution. I think there's a lot of lazy journalism there. Fabrizio said Ollie's ready, but I don't think we should go for Ollie. Do you think Tuchel will come in? Tuchel rejected us when we wanted to sack Ten Hag originally. Don't take Glasner and Mateta. We probably would. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. Xavi maybe. Xavi's close with Wilcox, Maresca. Be interesting. Eric Ten Hag got 10 million as well. Why a much bigger story this time? Just how we operate. I think it's because Eric Ten Hag wasn't seen with the world's biggest smile on his face. Like, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up today's live show. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back at midday tomorrow. I think around lunchtime tomorrow, we will get more credible reports on who we're going for. I think today's a lot of guesswork. Today's a lot of leaks, spin, story, hear that. I think tomorrow is where we might know who the candidate is. I think in the next 48 hours, we'll have an idea of who the candidate is, because I don't think Fletcher's staying to the end of the season. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.